that time again.
Yeah?
Yeah. It's that time.
To talk to CJ?
It is. But also to use the promo code DANGLE at manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping. I actually got a couple of tweets yesterday from people saying mine just arrived. And I said, that's fantastic. Congratulations on being clean. I just used mine to shave my chest the other day.
Ooh.
But not too much, right? It gives you a little stubble, but not too much. You know what I mean?
I'm
not quite Tom Selleck.
You got the let him know hair.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's here, but it's not in your face. And I think that's important, right? You don't want to be too in someone's face.
It's in your chest.
100%. Let's get the show started.
20% off and free shipping.
I said it. Dangle.
The Steve Dangle Podcast. Powered by Sports Interaction. Canada's Sportsbook.
SDPP. The Steve Dangle Podcast. With your hosts, Steve Dangle, Adam Wilde, and Jesse Blake.
If you've been a fan of this show for a while, you know that every single start of the season and every single end of the season, we have CJ on, and that does not change. Nope. CJ is joining us in just a couple of minutes, and I want to ask you guys before we get into this, how do you think this is going to go? Because this is unlike any other Game 7 loss we've seen. This was a great regular season. It's a great team. There have been times where we've walked away from this excited. There have been times we walked away from this anxious, and there have been times we walked away from this depressed. What do you think the main feeling after this episode is going to be?
No bullshit, cut to the chase. You're going to know what sort of vibe we're heading for this summer.
Dubas and Shanny kind of threw like a big bucket of cold water on everybody's plans for the summers about, hey, we got to fire Dubas and we got to trade everyone. And they're like, you know what? This is not really happening. So I'm interested to see where CJ lands on all of that, because they're really like, hey, nothing's really going to change.
Right.
Yeah. It's mid-May. Mid-May's truth is not a July 7th truth.
Yeah.
It's true.
Hey, what's the thing, the burning question you want to ask the most? What's the thing that you're like, that you've been preparing for the CJ interview? What's the thing you want to know the answer to the most?
Have you used the promo code DANGLE to get
not that one? Not that one. That's also important, but
Jack for me.
Yeah, it's got to be. It was okay. So you say Jack Campbell. I have William Nylander, but I also have another player on the back end.
Interesting. And you won't name him.
No, I won't.
He's only one of 8 people. Who could he be? Anyway, it's very, very interesting.
Morgan Riley.
It's so funny.
Will Morgan be traded?
No,
the guy they just locked up for 8 years. Fuck off! You're gone. You're gone.
The guy with the reasonable contract who plays really hard.
You know that
trade him.
That thing most teams do when they lock a guy up for 8 years.
Trade
they
him.
Get rid of him right away.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think there's going to be some changes with the Leafs this year. It's just the question is what. We'll get to that with CJ in a second, but first, obviously, we got to get to You Can Bet That. Battle of Alberta coming up, and I just want to say this before we get into it. It's always 18 plus. Please play responsibly, and if you want tips and strategies on responsible gaming, it's in the description of this show, wherever you get your podcast, or on the video. Let's get into You Can Bet That. sportsinteraction.com/SDPN for, I mean, this is going to be probably the most fun series we've seen in a long, long time. Forget the Florida series. It's all about the Battle of Alberta. Okay. All about the Battle of Alberta. David Bastel joining us for Sports Interaction. David, we got 3 great props here, starting with most series goals, McDavid versus Gaudreau. So before I get you to read where we're at, who has more goals this series? Jesse Blake, who do you think it's going to be? Oh, sorry, points. Yep. Points. My apologies.
Who has more points, Gaudreau or McDavid? Mm-hmm. Oh, Connor McDavid.
Win or lose, it's Connor McDavid.
Okay. David Bastel.
Yes. Well, right now, Sports Interaction says the same. Connor McDavid, slight favorites. Right now, they project Connor to get over under 9.5 points. Johnny Gaudreau, 7.5 points. But I'll ask you this, guys. Considering that Connor McDavid is now facing arguably the best goalie remaining in the postseason, I think most of us might feel that the Flames are going to score more than the Oilers in this series. Are you thinking that it might be a little closer than you think? I'm just saying, like, 1-on-1 through 82 games, I don't think this is a contest, but this is a 6-game series, a 5-game, a 7-game series. What do you think?
And it doesn't help that on the other end, so Flames got Markstrom. He's definitely the best goalie left in the West. And
Yep.
then on the other end, you have a guy who on any given night is either the best or worst goalie in the league.
Yes, I know.
So
You're right. You're right.
it makes it so hard to predict. Like, yeah, the Flames might get 30 goals in 4 games.
It's true.
They might get 4 in 4.
And you're absolutely right when you say Mike Smith is the 8th best goaltender left in the playoffs.
There you go.
Wow.
There you go. I mean, by
Oh.
regular season and everything.
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely. Okay. So the next one.
Oh man.
This is one for Leaf fans. Total points in the series. Zach Hyman over or under 3.5, and right now the favorite is under.
Yes,
surprising.
my favorite. Former Maple Leaf great Zach Hyman. You guys are obviously cheering for him, right? Zach was a great guy, great Leaf.
Individually.
Individual.
I have no favorites in the Battle of Alberta. Have no favorites. I'm covering this now. Journalism, capital J.
So
Do you know how many he had in the first round?
I can look that up right now for you. Zach Hyman.
Without knowing what he had in the first round, I'm smashing over.
You're saying over.
Smashing over.
Saying
Jesse,
over.
what are you saying without knowing? And you could change your answer.
I'm going to smash the over as well.
Okay. Now he had 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists.
And that would give him the over.
I think he scores the way the Oilers are going to have to score
Mm-hmm.
against the Oilers.
What, like gritty, fighting for
Against
every
the
goal?
Flames, sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And the last one here, and I love this. Total series goals, exact outcome, Connor McDavid.
Yes.
So how many goals does Connor McDavid get in the series with Calgary, against Calgary, basically? So, you can go all the way up to 10 goals on this one, which is a heck of a bet to take.
Oh,
Like,
I know my number. What's yours?
what's your number?
6.
6.9.
holy smoke, 6.
I got
Whew.
6. Yeah.
You got 6
That's
goals.
a goal a game.
What do you think?
Yeah.
6.9.
No, how many goals?
Well, okay, I'll round up 7.
7 goals.
No, I don't think no.
He
The
doesn't score
Flames
like
are going to
Austin Matthews.
Yeah.
Flames are
You're
going to,
like-
I think, do a good job of neutralizing his goal scoring. So he's going to have to turn to playmaking. He's going to get 3
Yes.
goals
Ooh.
potentially in game 1.
Favorites right now, 3 or 4 is the favorite right now at Sports Interaction, paying 4.50. So both are kind of going back and forth. I think I got him down for 3 goals on this series.
You know
Okay.
why I say 6? I think he has a hat trick one of these games.
Interesting. Well, I love this, okay? Because there's an option to go 0.
Oh,
come on.
There's an option to go 0. And
what does that pay out?
So that pays, it's at 19.
19.
It's as high as 9 goals. So if he gets 0 or he gets 9, it pays the same.
That's
Same likelihood, right?
betting on 0 is a wild way to watch the series because essentially for every time he has the puck, you're going, no!
Which is what Calgary's doing.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Absolutely, they are.
Okay.
So,
That's if I put $25 down on him getting no goals, that turns into around $450.
Or a loss of $25.
Yeah.
Throwing $25 into the ocean.
Honestly,
and I'm saying bye.
David, what do you think is the better thing to do? Do you go, even though they're weighted the same, do you go 9 or do you go 0?
ooh, I because it's Connor McDavid, I go heavy, so I go 9.
Go 9.
Oh,
Jesse, I think you take the
One.
9. Do it. Come on.
No, I'm sticking with 6.
Okay, fine.
We
All
should
right.
say these are just 3 good samples, but in this series alone, individual props, matchup props, everything like that, we're looking close to 35 different props for this one series, which is
Wow.
pretty cool.
Wow.
So we're kind of stepping it up as we move into the second round.
And it's
So,
going to be a fun one. And it's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. Again, sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. You can follow them on Twitter at SIA Sport. And of course, David Bastel at David Bastel, BASTL. Follow him.
nailed
you
it. I
saying
love
his
it.
name.
I finally got your name right, David.
Who's this guy
Good for you.
here? Host?
Hey, it's nice not to have golf odds on the show today, isn't it? Isn't it?
It's true.
Yeah,
I
it's
want
great.
Barry Trotz odds.
Oh, can we do that next?
Ooh. Heavy favorite.
Big interview yesterday. Big interview.
I know. I bet you it went well.
All right, David, thanks so much.
Thanks, guys.
That's You Can Bet That. CJ joining us next. In a tiny apartment in Southern California, 2 college dropouts teamed up to create a watch company that broke all the rules. It kind of sounds like us, Steve.
Yeah.
One college and university dropout teamed up with a guy that actually graduated and started a hockey podcast, and they were joined by another guy who didn't drop out. That will be our ad.
You know, it actually doesn't sound similar at all now that you mention
Okay,
it.
so,
Yeah.
but what you should check out is Movement. They've grown into one of the fastest growing watch brands in the world, shipping over 160 countries. It's incredible. We actually have these watches. They're amazing. And listen, you want to get a watch that matches your personality and style, and Movement's got that for you. They got the look and quality of like a $400 or $500 watch.
This is very important when it comes to the show. Does it tell time?
It does tell time.
Oh!
And it looks good, and you don't pay a
Perfect.
big price for it. And here's the thing: we want to knock a little more price off that for you. Join the Movement, 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to movement.com. That's mvmt.com/dangle. mvmt.com movement/dangle. So after the Game 7 loss, you know what I did?
Cried?
Cried. Walked up the street a little bit with Jesse, and then we parted ways. And Natalie and I went our way, and Gabby and Jesse went their ways. And I ended up back at home, and I thought, you know what? I need to shake this off. So I jumped in the shower,
There's no way this is the ad that I think.
and I lathered on the new Ultra Premium Body Wash and Aloe Vera with sea salt to keep your skin feeling clean and moisturized all day.
Oh, God.
But instead, for me, I needed it all night, and it smells fantastic. And that is from manscaped.com. Use that promo code DANGLE. And quite literally, you can do that. And then you can do what I did secondly, which is I like to shampoo second because I'm crazy. But I don't want to shampoo and conditioner separately. I want them together. And that's what Manscaped has for you. It's
You
all
don't
in
have
one.
time to do both.
It's a clean formula. I don't have time to do both. I need to go to bed.
No,
I need to sleep.
You got to shave your balls.
That's right. It smells of coconut water, green tea, and turmeric and sage. Come on. Get into it. Manscaped.com, promo code DANGLE. We've been talking about these guys forever, and the reason that they keep coming back is because you keep going, oh my God, I discovered Manscaped, and it's amazing. So use the promo code DANGLE. Get 20% off. Get free shipping, manscaped.com. Guys, let's talk about Magic Spoon.
Oh, it's spicy!
Habanero,
It doesn't come in habanero.
ghost pepper, jalapeno.
Listen, somebody reached out the other day and they said, Adam, get your stomach checked out. And I said, you know what? With Magic Spoon, I don't need to.
Oh.
0 grams of sugar, 13 to 14 grams of protein, and only 4 net grams of carbs each serving. It's a 140 calorie serving. It's keto friendly, it's gluten friendly, it's grain free, it's soy free, it's low carb, and available in a ton of flavors, not including habanero, at least not yet. We put the request in. Okay? So, magicspoon.com. The promo code is SDP, and you need to grab a bundle of cereal. Use that promo code SDP to save $5 off your first order. And Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, backed with a 100% happiness guarantee. So if you do not like it for any reason, they will refund your money.
But have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. Remember, your next delicious bowl of cereal is guilt-free at magicspoon.com/SDP. That's SDP is the promo code. Save your $5. Thank you, Magic Spoon, for sponsoring this episode.
I like the cookies and cream.
Who doesn't?
Sports Interaction is your home for NHL playoff betting. You know, for those teams that you cheer for. Right, Steve?
I bet on the Leafs to win by 2.
I
You don't always win. It's not guaranteed.
I bet on the Leafs to win as well in the seat while we were at the game. I bet on the
did?
Leafs plus 1.5, and my bet hit.
In game.
Unfortunately, on Sports Interaction, I won money on the Leafs losing.
Wait. You bet against them?
No. I bet them to win.
Yeah.
But I got plus 1.5 goals.
Oh.
So I live
wins.
bet. I love live betting the Leafs when they're down, and I did it when they're down 1-0 on sportsinteraction.com, and I won, but the Leafs lost.
So Sports Interaction, you already know. It's Canada's sports book with the most competitive odds. Sports Interaction makes it easy to deposit, easy to play, easy to cash out. Kind of like what Jesse did. Join now and see all the sports betting has to offer. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN. That's sportsinteraction.com/SDPN, which is what Jesse did mid-game. 18 plus. Please play responsibly. Okay, well, here we are again. Another season, another Game 7 loss, and CJ joins us. Woo!
Hooray.
CJ joins us. Talking about all the things that went well and why this will be okay next year, right? Is that what we're talking about today?
I'm not here for hope.
You're not.
I'm just here to tell it like it is.
Okay, so tell
Cold
us.
truth.
Which is not to say there isn't reason for hope, but I'll let you guys decide if there's hope.
Okay.
I'm not here to sell any hope, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
I like that because there's been years where CJ has come on and he said there's going to be major changes, and there were. There's been years where it's like, well, there's COVID, we don't know, and we didn't. And now it's sort of murky, right? Because this is a 115-point team.
Yeah.
Hard to argue with 115 points in the regular season. But unfortunately, in a results-based business, if you're getting the same result, people do expect change. And so you talk to Shanny, you talk to Dubas, you talk to the players. What's your sense of yesterday and where the organization is right now?
Well, they don't see it as the same result. Like it's the same ending in that there isn't a series victory. They're not playing games as round 2 opens right now. But they do really believe the way they lost, the season they had, the way individuals performed makes this different. And look, I know this is going to be hard for some portions of the fan base. I see you in my comments. I see you in my Twitter feed. I actually tend to agree with them. And like, I really believe if they just flopped again this season against Tampa, okay, it might be a different direction. But I think, really, I think that this reaffirmed their process. And
Wow.
I know it's a hard look. You're never going to win media day at the end of that season if that's your takeaway. But they're not there to win media day. They're trying to do what they think is best to win the Stanley Cup.
Did Sheldon Keefe secure his job for next season when he won Game 5?
Oh, stop it. That's a bad
Why?
reference.
Why is that?
Wow, grenades it right away.
It's a Babcock reference from 2019. I wanted to get it out of the way.
I remember. Well, Sheldon Keefe, I mean, it's pretty clear that Kyle Dubas won't be the one to fire him. I mean, he said yesterday, essentially, he was asked directly about Pete DeBoer and Barry Trotz being available. And he said, look, I think in 15 years, you'll be talking about Sheldon Keefe the way you're talking about those guys now. And so he's good. And he said he's going to have that success in Toronto. So to me, there's no question as long as Kyle Dubas is making the decision, I can't see a scenario Sheldon Keefe is fired.
Okay.
And it's not just because they're old buddies. Like, I mean, it's like, that's not just a statement like, hey, I like him. We've had success in the past. That's like, this guy's going to, I mean, he's had a ton of regular season success.
His record's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Like, it is hard to argue that he wouldn't have that trajectory. And other coaches, it took Barry Trotz. Like, if you remember, his rep in Nashville was he could never get his team over the hump.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a ridiculous position to take, but there are people out there that want blood, right? Like somebody wants something. Give me the GM, give me the head coach, give me one of these core 4. Like, there's got to be something different. And my read is that none of those things are going to be changed, come October.
I
The silence there was golden.
I don't.
Yeah.
Are we?
I thought you were going to continue to be honest.
Are we?
My bad.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
B, I think they're right. It was a different Game 7 loss than Montreal, because Montreal was not just a Game 7 loss. It was a Game 5, 6, and 7 loss.
Yeah.
And games 5 and 6 where they fell behind. I know they fell behind this time too and won Game 5, but like they were down 3-0.
Yeah.
3-0, 2-0.
And it was an inferior opponent. I think that's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, you're playing the 5th best team versus, at least in the regular season, versus the 18th best team, which is what Montreal was. And I think, the way they lost in the 2 series against Boston and then Columbus, where it didn't seem like the team was skidding already with the David Ayers game, and that was pretty clear. But then when they came back, it was sort of like, do we really want to be here? That's what it felt like watching the 2020 Leafs. And then 2021, you lose Tavares. Danault shuts you down, sure, but you still win three games in 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so is the management, because here's what I want to get a sense of. I know that there are Leaf fans that want to blow it all up. I know there are Leaf fans that want to run it back. I'm in the second camp. I think you run it back. But I want to know what this management group actually thinks, because to me, the way they set it up, we watched the press conference yesterday. Jesse, you were saying that you watched the whole half-an-hour thing, and Dubas was like filibustering, talking about all the prospects in the system.
Yeah,
it's like, okay,
there's a 7-minute period in there where we're just talking about the prospects, and he runs down all of them in the system.
Like the Leafs Nation,
Bobby McMahon.
Yeah. And like Pontus Holmberg. I'm I don't think they're going to put this part in the sun.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't need this.
like the Leafs Nation writes about all these guys. I know who they are. Like we don't need to jump into that. But what I do really want to know is, did they set themselves up for something this summer by not saying anything at all? Because if Kyle Dubas comes out yesterday and says there's going to be major changes, well, you've now just automatically lowered the trade value of all your players, right?
Yes. Or you've put
unnecessary pressure.
Right, because I think the reality is, like, look, they probably would trade someone like William Nylander if they were getting something back that made sense. But I don't think any of us can say, even as great a season as Nylander had, that trade is out there. Like, this is my issue with, like, talk radio, and I'm going on there, and, like, they're always just like,
I've never heard of it.
Let's get rid of a guy. And I'm like, okay, fair. Like, I'm not saying anyone should really be untouchable except for a couple obvious exceptions. But what are you getting back? And then we can have a real conversation. And so I think it would be insane of him to say, yeah, we're going to trade one of our top players, because he doesn't know what the returns are. And the returns are not going to get it any better if the teams he's dealing with know he's already boxed himself in that corner. Because I think if you look closely at what Kyle said, he said, first of all, he sees the core being more than just the 4 players. Mm-hmm. And he sort of said, I have to constantly look at that mix, which I think it's easy to interpret that, I think he's probably not moving one of the 4 guys, but maybe someone just around the ring.
Like a Muzzin type contract?
Could be someone like that. I mean, I'm trying to think who else might fit. Like, I don't know. Do we count Alex Kerfoot in that group? Maybe not. I think
Brody.
Tough to move Brody.
How are they moving Brody?
Right.
Well,
because he's good.
I'm not saying they should. I'm just trying to figure out who's in
who's the extended core,
the rings of Saturn.
Right. Well, it's a little less clear, right? Because like if we go back to last season, it was pretty clear at that point. Like Zach Hyman and Frederik Andersen were in that group. They've both been longtime Leafs. They were part of sort of the when there's leadership meetings behind the scenes, they were part of it. I'm a little less clear, but I think Muzzin is definitely in that tier. Mm-hmm. And this is not at all to say Jake Muzzin will definitely be traded, but I think it's something you have to look at if you can make the move, just because of, his age, the miles on the chassis, the $5.6 million cap hit, the need to maybe shift some things around. I mean, even to create a spot for Rasmus Sandin to have more of a regular spot in the lineup. I mean, if you have Brody, Riley, Muzzin, like at some point you need to create room for these guys to play. I think Justin Hall, could potentially be moved too, because the same argument for Timothy Liljegren that time has come. Both Sandin and Liljegren need new deals too. So you're going to be paying them a little bit more, and I think you have to give them opportunity to come in. And so I think, Adam, to go back to your original point, I think he left open a window there that if something big and a little bit unexpected happens, he didn't box himself in with his comments. It's not going to be like he lied or he misdirected us. I think he was very careful how he positioned the questions about the core. And I came away thinking likely those 4 guys are back, the 4 highest paid forwards. But and this is a caveat, they might explore the trade market and see maybe there's a way to redistribute a Nylander's money to something else.
What do they think that they're missing?
Okay, there's 2 ways to go with this. I think the goaltending is going to look different. And so I don't know if they're missing anything, but their starter is a number 1 goaltender who's potentially going to be a UFA. They have the ghost of Peter Mrazek's contract on the books. They have obviously some younger guys that they don't see as 1 or even number 2 options, like reasonably entering next season. So that's an area that absolutely 100% has to be addressed. I don't know that they think that they're missing too many key elements. Maybe a little bit of meanness, like just a small element of that. And I'm not talking about guys that are going to go out there and fight 15 times a year, or, I look at the way Tampa plays. Like that to me was one small difference in the series. Like, first of all, their blue line is pretty mean and big. Like you might go in their corner and you might even win the puck battle, but like Eric Chernak is going to remind you that you went in his corner in some way. And like, in some degrees, like Muzzin can be like that. Obviously, Lyubushkin brought some of that element. So I could see them looking for functional players that make you feel it a little bit more, that can play in the hard games. But I don't actually think that they feel they're missing all that much. I mean, that's part of the filibustering. I mean, when you get 115 points, that isn't an accident.
Right.
Honestly.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
And so I think that I think all they're missing is another chance at their main guys getting better, tinkering around the edges. And then, to me, the goaltending might be the biggest decision, like just how that all plays out. Like everybody loves Jack Campbell. This is going to be a hard negotiation or hard decision because there's no room for sentiment on either side. Jack Campbell's not made very much money relative to what someone as a professional athlete can make. He's 30 years old. So he's going to have to make an important business decision. And I don't think they can probably pay him what the market might pay him. And so if you let him walk out the door, which I think is a distinct possibility, like how are you replacing that? What are you doing with Mrazek's contract? Do you think Mrazek can play? After this season where he missed, 3 separate times with injury, can you actually bring him back and hope he's something? I mean, it's going to be a bit of a dice. I mean, goaltending is a dice roll generally, but I feel like they got a couple die there and they're like, "Ooh, how's this going to go?" Big summer, man. And I don't know how many doors we want to open, but next year really matters. Like, I know we say that every season, like this year is the year they have to win. Like next year at this time, when we're doing this decompression of the Leaf season, we're going to be talking about Austin Matthews, will he or won't he sign a contract extension on July 1st. And so I think what happens between now and July 1st, 2023 is vitally important, because if there's any scenario where Austin Matthews doesn't want to resign here, then the gig is up, I think. Like, I don't even know how do you proceed as an organization? And
without that player, it's tough.
But I'm just saying, like, is there any example in hockey though, if they were to lose him? Like, this is highly hypothetical. I'm not even predicting they're going to lose him. And we can get into more about what that might be. But I think that everything, therefore, like if you work backwards, has to be on how can we ensure he's going to stay? Because if he's leaving, I don't know how they can be a cup contender anyway. Unless you're maybe like trading him straight up for Connor McDavid or something. Like if you're doing something like, again, like if you're doing something like that, okay, then I'll say, yes, they still have a chance to win if you're replacing him with Connor McDavid. But, for a whole host of reasons, I'm not sure that's going to happen either. So, this is a huge year and a huge 13 months to be in a position where the franchise player, arguably the best player in franchise history, isn't even thinking twice about re-signing.
Now, along those lines, because this is interesting, we talked about this on the last show, and I kind of brought it up. The Leafs instituted, when Lou Lamoriello was in, basically nobody special here sort of thing, right? They've been they've been quietly open about that. Now they have legitimate superstars, especially with Marner and Matthews. And you have a guy like Austin Matthews, who I think, could be ready to be the captain. I actually think he probably should be. And that's just my personal opinion. But do you think that that's the sort of direction they move in? Because, like, listen, no offense to like Ilya Lyubushkin, but management's not going to treat Lyubushkin the same as they're going to treat Matthews.
Right.
But it seems as though that sort of thing hasn't happened yet. Do you think that changes?
I think it will a little bit. I think it's changed like behind the scenes.
Has
slightly.
it?
Like Lou's been gone for 4 years, right?
Right.
And so, Kyle Dubas, obviously he grew up under Lou essentially in his job, but like he operates differently. I think he's way more open with his players in general. I think he consults them on a whole host of things, like down to, hey, how do we want to handle the travel in this series? Like, do we want to bus across to Buffalo to avoid the COVID testing? Like, I think that there's a far more collaborative process in general inside the Leafs organization since Lou left, where it was very top down and I'm in charge and Babs is in charge and I would be surprised if Austin and Mitch, I don't think it's just about Austin, but
certainly not. But we're talking about the guy who's up in.
Well, he's
years,
the
right?
next one, right? He and William Nylander both can be free agents on the same day, July 1st, 2024. But with respect to Nylander, Austin is more of a priority. He's younger. He's a center. He's just scored 60 goals in 73 games or whatever it was. So I do think that the process of trying to re-sign him or making him comfortable to re-sign starts probably yesterday. Like, I think it's already on. And so that is having open dialogue with him about what he sees with the team, what he maybe thinks they need, how he feels about things like the coaching staff and how certain things are handled. It might come to include a conversation about the captaincy. I don't know that that's happened yet, but I don't think it's crazy to imagine it might. And yeah, there's an ability here. Look at Austin Matthews loves being a Maple Leaf. Like, we should. I don't.
Okay, because no one ever says that.
Right.
Do we ever hear anybody say that?
I hear CJ say it.
Well, I know all I hear is Berkey from like 3 years ago going, "Why he's leaving for Arizona?"
Yeah. Well, I can say with 100% certainty he's not going to play in Arizona.
Okay.
So.
Nice.
Like, I don't think.
Well, we're not sure Arizona's going to play in Arizona for much longer at this point. We're not sure.
I mean, look, he's not going to go play on a college campus.
Okay.
No, and I actually think that will be a challenge for the Coyotes, unless it somehow turns out to be this wild success that none of us could imagine. I mean, they're going to have trouble getting top tier free agents to choose that, right? I mean, it's not really an NHL facility as much as they're trying to make that work and spend some money to make it so. I think all things being equal, he would love to be a Maple Leaf for the next stretch beyond this contract. But if you're him, and look, I get he's been on the team, so I'm not separating him from the team, but like he wants to be on a team that can win the cup too, and they haven't had success. So like he's like any highly driven athlete, like he's already at the point. This should be exciting for the Leafs, I think. He's at the point where I don't think he gives a shit at all about personal anything. Like, he's probably winning the Hart in my estimation this year. He's got 2 Rocket Richard trophies. He won the Calder. He hit 60 goals, like a pretty big milestone. He's got the Leafs single season goal record by
A lot.
Pretty wide margin.
like 6 goals above is significant. Like he's kind of like in God tier level of what things he can control individually, and he'll still get lots of individual cookies, but I don't think at all he's going to care about that stuff, which is the best possible scenario. Like it seems like most young athletes kind of go through that transition. Like he's far from the first. And not to say he was selfish before, but I think he's like a frame of mind, like it's cup. That's all. The only trophy that matters is the one that the Leafs have not gotten within 3 rounds of during his time here. And so, I think his decision primarily will be like, where can I win? Like, look, he's going to get the same sort of contract everywhere. The maximum a player can be paid is 20% of the cap. So that's 16 and change right now. My guess is his next deal, wherever it is somewhere in that ballpark. Like he might not go all the way to 20%. Look at what athletes get paid in the other sports.
You'd be a bench player in the NBA at 16 million.
Right. And I don't say this on behalf of Austin Matthews. Like when I was a kid, and I got gray in my beard now, when I was a kid, guys were making 10, 11, 12 million in the NHL. Like that's still the top range of what the players are paid 20 years later. So this isn't like Austin's mind frame. Like I think all the top players should be like, hey, wait a minute. Like there's a difference between like a 60 goal centerman and a guy, no offense to anyone down the lineup, but like you literally can't replace that. That's like, it's almost like never existed in the modern day NHL, what he does. And so there's huge value to that. And I think that those players should be paid. I think we're going to start like very interesting. Like Nathan McKinnon needs a new deal, right?
Yep.
This is the first summer he can sign a year out from the end of his current contract. Where does Nathan McKinnon push it? Does he get more than McDavid? He certainly has, in my estimation, he has the leverage to do so. I don't know if he'll use it. He seems like a pretty easygoing guy. I remember there was a quote from a couple of years ago in Forbes. He said like, yeah, I don't care what I get paid. Like this is lots of money. So maybe he won't be of the mindset. I don't know where he's at on that, but I think we're going to start to see the bar get raised a little bit. And so anyway, it's a long way of saying Austin's if we just accept the argument, he'll more or less get paid a lot of money wherever he plays. There's probably only 5 or 6 or 8 cities. I don't know this precise number, but where we can say he's going to go. So you're already like eliminating a lot of the league. And then you have to get to a point where it's a team he thinks he can win on. Mm-hmm. And so I really think we're down to probably a handful of teams. I don't have a crystal ball of where that'll be at, but you look at like an up and coming team like LA, maybe like that. It could where it could theoretically make sense. Like again, I'm just eliminating. I mean, it's sort of obvious. Like, I don't know, where's Tampa at that point?
Rangers.
But has Tampa shed enough contracts at that point where they can do it? Maybe the Rangers, even the Rangers are like, they've committed a lot of money long-term to a lot of players. Like the point is if it ever got to this, there wouldn't be that many landing spots realistically. And I think Toronto is absolutely number one at the top of that list. Like if he signs one more deal here, he's rewriting every Leafs record more or less. I mean, it'd be him or Marner. I mean, him and Marner both play. It'll be a question who has more points. It'll be pretty close. But anyway, and he wants to be a guy that wins a cup here, man.
Yeah.
Like as much as days like Saturday night suck for those guys, they wake up Sunday, okay, maybe Monday, maybe there's a hangover in there somewhere, but by like Tuesday, they're already like, this is the fuel. Like this is like they see Edmonton and Calgary, you see them win one round, right? Did you see the emotion that both those were home game 7 wins? Calgary's was an overtime win. Like, do you see the outpouring? And like, you were in the arena, Jesse and Adam, for game 7. Like, if the Leafs won that night.
Oh my God.
Oh, it'd be extra.
There were police all over, by the way, like all the way up the street, all the way around. Like they were ready for a win.
Yeah, it was prepared like it was for the Raptors parade. They were expecting people to flood the streets.
Yeah.
And with good reason. Like I was at the Saturday morning, like / early afternoon when I got out of the morning skate, like day drinking on the street already going on. Like,
wow.
It was a nice Saturday afternoon in Toronto. Some people were ready to go. So anyway, it's a long way of getting back to like, I think those guys still dream of ending all this. of making Steve Dangle make the video of his lifetime.
Yeah. Game 1, round 2. The video of Steve Dangle's life.
It's such a low bar.
I just spent the last 72 hours looking at my YouTube analytics and just weeping. Just because it's this huge spike and it just drops off. It just drops off and goes away. There's no more games. There are no more.
So you can't engage people anymore.
I mean I can, but it won't be the same as if there were games. If I do a game 7 win video followed by second round videos, anyway,
What happens if you do round 3 and round 4 videos?
Oh man.
I die on camera, the happiest man to have ever lived. Yeah, just well.
Where are your energy levels at doing those live feeds every other night?
I don't have a problem. I don't have
Really?
a problem at all. The problem is the time in between.
Right.
So my voice is still recovering. You can hear it. But the heart rate monitor we don't have up pre-game, but if we did, it would be higher than at most points during the game. I'm a big
Like you get a little anxious almost, or
huge, like
Yeah.
big time. Like I hate the what I always compare it to is standing in line for a roller coaster. The roller coaster is almost the relief.
right?
Like, okay, just throw me in a bunch of loops at Mach speeds, like I'll be fine. But standing there and waiting for it, I'm shaking. Like
I bet players are like that.
Oh yeah.
Like once a game starts, it is just a game, but like all the build up and the energy and
Who's the guy who used to throw up before every game? I want to
heard
say he
the
was on the
story, but-
Blackhawks.
was it the goalie?
Suitor? Oh, I have heard of a goalie too. There's been several players like that. And I don't really get stomach nervous.
Right.
But-
TMI.
yeah. I don't get stomach nervous. I just get jittery nervous. I wanted to ask you about Mitch, because you were talking about Austin and Mitch. There's no player who I was more mad at when they lost to Montreal, and a lot of this fan base was ready to chuck him out the door. He follows it up with a bit of a slow start, like the rest of the team, followed by the best season of his career in terms of goal scoring, in terms of everything, basically. What do you know about his season from start to finish that was different from the last?
I think he's growing up the way everybody who gets older grows up.
Yeah.
I think he's getting more mature. I think he's getting a little less, maybe paying a little less attention to what everyone's saying. And look, he's been an awesome player his whole career. I think if anything, if I'm diagnosing him from afar, which I am not qualified to do, but here I am, I got a mic and it's on.
Yep.
I see a guy when it got to the playoffs against Montreal, it's almost too much pressure on himself. Like, it's not like no one's questioning whether he cares, and no one's questioning his ability, because we've all seen his ability from the day he walked in the NHL, like at like 160 pounds and somehow didn't get killed. Like
Yeah.
like he never gets hit, right? He's so smart. He's so just like his brain is one step ahead of everyone. Like it's different than Kucherov, but it reminds me of Kucherov. Like Kucherov barely ever gets touched, and he's just like, hey, I see what you're doing. I'm going to do the thing you haven't even thought that I'm going to do yet. Like, it's just like Jedi mind tricks.
Like last night.
Yeah.
Oh my
Unbelievable.
God.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so what I see from Mitch is a guy who's grown up, who gives a little bit less of a shit about everything else. And he's like, you know what? I'm good. I'm going to go be good. And the second half of the season, he was beast mode. Like, I think, Jonas Siegel always quotes from a certain date. I think it was January 15th, the end of the year, he had the most points in the league. Can't argue with that. And in the playoffs, okay, it wasn't domination every shift, but he gave me enough moments to be like, this is what he's paid for. He's living up. Like that Game 5 pass to Matthews off the pad.
Oh, man.
I mean, how bad did they need that goal? I know they didn't win the series, but like winning that game, like that felt like, to me, that was where I was like, okay, they're in this series. Cause like they get stomped on in Game 4, and you're like, same thing. They're down in Game 5. It almost like carried over to the start of Game 5, like really tough first period. And then they really pushed back. Like, it wasn't just that they scored some goals and won the game. Like, they actually took control of the game. If you look at like the shot attempts and everything, like they went and got that. And this is where I think there's regret or whatever. They should have probably won the series in Game 6. Like, they played a damn good Game 6 for all
They did.
that.
Yep. They did.
Yeah.
And
a couple of errant sticks, and that series is over.
like that 5-on-3, they allowed them to tie the game. But other than that, like, it's not like the third period they were under siege. Like, they didn't just go into a shell. And even overtime, I mean, it's not like they had grade A after grade A, but they had the better chances, in my view.
Breakaway and
do you know what's? I actually was thinking like it would be sort of. In my mind, there was a ton of breakaways that got stopped in that series by Vasilevsky. Like, I'd like to know the number. Like a lot of
them from Willie.
Yeah,
too. He broke free at least 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
Like early in the series, there's a couple shorthanded ones he stopped.
Yeah.
Like I know he was still letting in 3 or 4 a night at that point, but he was still making like one extra save. It's like, man, you scored one of those break. Anyway, you can play this game forever.
Looking ahead to next year, we all characterize this season as the all or nothing season and like, oh, dude was going to get fired if they don't win again. Is next year finally the year where people look at it like that? Or is there some scenario again where it's, hey, they tried really hard, even though they didn't make it past the first round? Are we finally, our heads going to roll? Like, when does that inevitably come?
I think it has to be next year. Just because that's such a July 1st, 2023. Someone, Mike Tracos asked a question yesterday of them, and he called it the doomsday clock. Yeah. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I'm going to label it the doomsday clock, but it's such a big moment. It's like a franchise defining moment. And so how they arrive there matters, right? And so to me, it's hard to say. If they have 120 regular season points but lose in round 1 in game 7 and it's really close and the referees do this, and I still don't, I think that, man, it's hard to even imagine that they're going to lose another first round series, but you know, we got 12 months to talk about it and think about it.
It feels like right now they're not allowing themselves to lose their heads, but if they get the same result next year, they even play better and get completely screwed. I don't think there's any keeping your head.
What do you think?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Here's the thing. You're running out of time with this core for sure, where you know, hey, we could just keep rolling it. Like, really the bet is when you keep it the same is just like, these guys are so good. Eventually the right things will line up in their favor and they're going to have monster playoffs. And
they'll
honestly, they could have had monster playoffs this year. Like they all had really strong first rounds. If they're playing again, like this, the ingredients were there for this to be what you'd want.
Yeah. Well,
but you're running out of those opportunities.
You are, and Tavares was a topic of conversation much of the season. He did have some streaky moments, but he's always sort of been a guy that streaks on and then streaks off. There were people in talk radio who were like, he's done, he's washed. He had a couple of huge goals, including one that was called back in Game 7. What's his role next season? I mean, I know Elliott kind of mused about him potentially being like a guy who wins faceoffs and then immediately goes to the wing. Do you get the sense that his skating can't keep up with the skating on the team? Or do you think he just goes into next season just kind of like we did last year? I know he's going to be a Leaf, but it's what role is that?
Well, I think it's got to evolve, right? I mean, any older player, you're always looking for something different. I mean, Stamkos somehow just had his first 100-point season. He's a year older than Tavares, right? And like I know some of that's he gets a lot done on the power play. You know, Tavares actually has been an excellent power play player for the Leafs. I think that Elliott's onto something. I mean, to me, it was always inevitable he wasn't going to be a pure center the entirety of that 7-year contract. There's nothing wrong with that, though. Lots of players have had that happen to them and still been highly useful guys. I think the question is who's ready to step up and...
Is it Willie?
I would give him the shot. Like, maybe it's Marner. I don't know, but I would...
At center.
I would probably go with Nylander, though. But, you know, the one thing, look at the coach who shall not be named, the one thing that I actually kind of agree with him on is like, I don't know that you should always have Marner and Matthews together. I just think they're so individually brilliant that if you're looking to find, like, again, I'm not saying they should never play together either, which was part of what his thing was. But, you know, I do think that splitting them up just in general makes some sense. I think Austin Matthews is scoring a lot of goals with Steve Dangle and Jesse Blake on his wings.
As good as they are.
As good as they are.
And we both have 0 assists.
But 100 hearts.
There you go. Yeah, Tavares had his best season when he played with Mitch.
He did.
Yeah.
And that was part of the original pitch to him. Remember they made like the whole hype video that I'd love to see one day, but it was the whole idea of Mitch was out there skating and this is the guy you'll play with. So like maybe there's some moving around there. I don't actually worry about him as much as everyone else. Like I think that he is so dedicated that I have some faith that using all the resources, like, you know, he's not leaving any opportunity out there. Like he's probably working out right now.
Yes. No question.
Like literally,
no question.
like
he
I'm
doesn't
not
do
kidding.
anything fun.
Like he's probably not at like, you know, the rest of us might like have a tough loss and be like, let's go to Cabo and drink one of everything in front of us. I don't think that that's his approach at all. And the Leafs have invest huge amounts of money in sports science and all this stuff. And I know no one wants to hear this, but like, that he's going to squeeze every little thing out of his career he possibly can. And I think that his role will diminish slightly. It's already diminished, right? I mean, he's sort of a second tier player on the team. Like when you're looking you want him to have a moment and multiple moments in a long playoff run, but you're not looking for him to drive the engine.
No.
And everyone's going to go, the contract and $11 million and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what? At some point, you need someone to come up that's making $900,000 that's making a difference too, because they're younger and they're on the upswing and they're on their way to making $11 million one day. And so that's going to be really difficult to find. But Braden Point is a 3rd round draft pick. Like Tampa picked number 1 and number 2, Stamkos and Hedman, and they had some other good players when those guys were young. But as like St. Louis and all those guys moved on, they had to reinforce from not obvious places. Even Kucherov was a 2nd round pick. And I know that it's not like there's one recipe or template to building a champion, but the Leafs frankly have to find some players in not obvious places because they're not going to be picking 1st or 2nd overall as long as this is the core. And they're going to have to find ways that you can sort of move Tavares into softer spots and have someone soak up those minutes that doesn't make his salary. And they understand that. Like I don't necessarily see it. I guess it's a challenge, but to me, that's not the main concern with the group. It's like I want to see what their blue line looks like, frankly. I still think that there's issues back there. Like Lyubushkin was fine, and I think it was sort of creative how they went and got him, but he's now a UFA. Like, who is Morgan Riley going to play with next year? Like, I think that's a real question, and
it's a forever question.
Yeah.
Every season we ask that.
Sorry, this is the 2016 end of season.
It's crazy.
I thought it was finally solved once and for all with Brody, and turns out.
And maybe it's Brody, right?
Yeah, could be.
But I think that needs to be sorted out.
Liljegren?
They need some scoring. Like, they could have used a little bit more scoring somewhere in the bottom 6 too.
Yep.
Like a Ross Colton or a Nick Paul, like Tampa got some big goals from guys a little down their roster in that series. Corey Perry scored a couple goals.
Yep.
And he scored again to start round 2. So
this is what I was trying to say last show is Tampa, for all the talk of, no state tax and, they have all these big stars making, they all left money on the table. They didn't leave that much on the table. Like they're all still making big money. They get big performances though from Braden Point's now making a lot of money, but he was a depth pick. Cirelli, that's a depth pick. Ross Colton got 20 goals in the regular season. That's a depth pick. Do the Leafs have any version of that? Because it feels like every year, here's some dude who played for Tractor Chelyabinsk or, some KHL team
that we promised to trade by November if he's not getting ice time.
Right.
Well, to be fair, Mikheyev had a good year this year.
Mikheyev's been great.
And Bunting is out of nowhere.
Bunting is out of nowhere.
That was Nick Ritchie's spot,
Right.
But you got to, generally speaking, the best teams in the league draft these guys. You know what I mean?
Fair. Well, I mean, Nyes was something people asked me on Twitter, do you think Nyes blindsided the Leafs by going back to college?
No, I think they knew all along. Like, it seems like that was a pretty open discussion. Obviously the Leafs wanted him to come.
Mm-hmm.
He probably, he would have played NHL games next season for them, I would think. That's a bit of a blind guess, but I do think that had he turned pro now, he would have probably started with the Marlies, but he would be an option for them if they needed help. That could still be the case, though. He could still start in next March,
right?
After the NCAA tournament's done, and he could still be a factor even in the playoffs. Like, who knows? I don't know how that's going to play out. But I don't think they were blindsided. His intentions were always pretty clear. I just think they got hopeful that, it's hard to say no.
Yeah, sure it is. Absolutely. Now, listen, I know you got to go.
I can give you 5 to 10 more minutes.
Can you?
Let's go.
I mean, my next meeting's late, but whatever. No, they won't know why I'm late. I'm doing this in private. I'm doing this in private.
Okay. Jack Campbell, next season, north or south of Linus Ullmark's contract?
Is that $5 million?
I think it's 4.5 times 4.
Mm-hmm.
Is it that we talked about last show?
On AAV?
Yes.
Yeah.
North.
I've heard the ask was as high as 7.
North AAV or North term?
North AAV. I'm not sure on term. But I think, Cal Peterson, I believe, signed 3 years at $5 million.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what did Merzlikins get? Merzlikins got something like
4.5.
Yeah.
I think he got $5 million on his contract.
And Georgiev, I
should
believe,
know
is
all
up
this. I haven't dug through the numbers enough.
So south of 6.
I think south of 6, but I think 5 will be around the AV.
Okay.
And is that the direction they want to go? They want to bring back Campbell.
I'm not convinced.
Yeah.
I'm not convinced. It's not that they don't want him. I'm not sure they want to bite the apple quite that deeply, like pay him that much.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they want rid of the guy at all. It's just I think it's going to be a tough business decision on both ends because in theory it's like a couple that should stay together or something. But I'm not
but
sure.
if you're Jack, how do you not take the most money available, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he's made like league min for 10 years.
Yeah.
You should go and get it.
Yeah, I would never. It's sort of like Hyman. I was like, yes, you should
get it.
Yeah.
go play anywhere.
Yeah.
You know,
And he got McDavid. He got to play with McDavid.
Right.
Which is pretty
Yeah.
sweet.
Not bad. That's not really anywhere.
Yeah.
but I mean, like, look, the Leafs wanted him to stay at less money. I mean, it's fine. They only had that to pay, and he could earn more. I mean, this is business, and players' careers are short, man. I know that we all look at the numbers, and it looks like a ton of money, and I don't want to go down this road because I don't want to get Chris Prongered here, but. Like the truth is if you have an opportunity to make 15 million somewhere else and at least want to pay you 12 million, like it sounds like it's the same, but
It's not.
were you ever earning that $3 million again in your future life? Like it's just not going to happen.
Every offseason, Leaf fans focus too much on certain things. What story should we not focus on this offseason?
Oh, good question.
Wow.
Yeah. Like what is a
Look
waste
at you
of our
hit me
time?
with the big J question here.
Yeah.
What narrative?
What's an overrated narrative there, CJ?
This is the quiz, apparently.
Oh man.
Pushed by the media.
Well, what were the narratives? Start giving me some of the narratives. Like I didn't.
Nylander getting traded.
Well, you should pay attention to that because that.
Tavares going to the wing.
Okay, you should pay. I guess I just don't know if it matters that much.
Interesting.
Like, look, it's great to have like horse centerman, of course, but I think the positions are evolving. Like if he's still taking face-offs and he's really damn good at that, you know, does it really matter who skates down the middle of the ice? I don't know. I think that maybe it can be a little overblown at times. It matters to him. Like he sees a game differently. Like just fundamentally, if you're on the wing and how you see the plays develop and what you can do is different than if you're in the middle and you're used to being able to kind of go everywhere. But I don't know that it matters to the degree that it's probably, you're right. That might be it. That's going to be something that like people are going to be banging this and they're going to say like, now that contract's a disaster. And like, I'm not sure it functionally matters that much if William Nylander plays fine in the middle of the ice, for example.
Okay.
Like you're still accomplishing the same thing. Did it really matter when they're lined up this way? Now they're going to line up this way, but if the line still works, like, does it really?
Might they trade their first round pick in Montreal?
I doubt it.
You doubt it. Okay.
Well, they wouldn't say absolutely no, but I think that they held on to that pick intentionally at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
Like they saw
they have a guy, probably.
It's not just that they have a guy. I think that they understand that they need to have these guys coming up. Like they need to add, you know, they were all in on this season, don't get me wrong, but they really prioritized not trading the first round pick. Like we saw Florida, right? And look, Florida's playing in round 2. We'll see how it goes. But they traded 2 first round picks, right? And one of them for Ben Sherratt.
Yep.
One of them for Claude Giroux. And, you know, my understanding of the Leafs, how they viewed that is that there's just too much randomness in hockey that even if you trade a first round pick for the right guy, but you only have him for 2 months and something goes wrong with your team, it's just not worth it. The reason they did it with Foligno, I know everyone's going to go, whoa, but Foligno, they thought that year was different because it was completely divisional play. They had absolutely trucked their division. They knew the path to the third round was through the same teams they were beating routinely every second Tuesday. And so they sort of switched their own individual thinking for that one trade deadline because, and I actually think I know it didn't work out, but that's actually reasonably sound logic to me. You only have to beat one of 6 teams over and over and over again to get to the conference final.
And they did.
Until they didn't. But that is the difference. So like there is so much randomness, right? Like because they did have a 115-point season. They still drew Tampa. Like Tampa is a bunch of badasses, man.
I know.
Yep.
Like I don't know where the SDP Nation's at on Tampa. Like I don't know.
Oh,
if
they're
it's,
fucking tough as hell.
We think they're good.
Yeah.
No, but like,
Better team won.
but I don't know like if the listeners want to hear it, but like you're watching something special with that Lightning team.
100%. They might be the first cap team to three-peat.
Right, but like,
and they just crushed Florida last night.
and Braden Point, there's no way he didn't like suffer a significant injury
Yeah.
there.
He's got no hamstring.
And he was already playing injured at the end of the season. He was awesome in that playoff series with the Leafs, in my opinion. Like every game I watched, I was like, holy crap. Like
Entries.
I love him. He's so unafraid to like drive through the middle of the ice. He doesn't care who's there. He is going to get the puck. Like it's just, there's such a focus and determination in the way he sort of like leaves no doubt in his play. And, you know, I get that he's not going to win a scoring title most likely in his career, but like you win with that guy. Like, and it's easy for me to say that because obviously they've won twice with him, but like, look at the goals he scored in their playoff runs. And like, he's such a big moment player. And I just love, and I know some of this is sort of sports narrative, but he gets injured. He tries to come back. It's so sad to watch, frankly. Like he just can't skate.
Right.
He's on the bench. Like, I don't know if he was crying, but he had his head down. All his teammates are patting him back. And he like sat on the bench the whole time. And remember in Stamkos in the bubble, he only played those 5 shifts. He came back and sat on the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just think they're like a team. Like they're in it together. Like, so now points out game 1 against Florida. They go down 1-0. Like those guys just step up. And it's like Nick Paul in game 7. Like that's what you want from a team. I think you're starting to see that honestly in the Leafs though.
You are.
At the end of the day, like, yeah, Tavares didn't have the best start to the series. And then like, man, he scored in game 5, game 6, and sort of game 7, but didn't count. But like, I'm just saying like, and he started to like win all his faceoffs and he started to like play hard in the offensive zone. At least like the minutes he was out there, good things were happening. And, you know, William Nylander, everyone sees the Chernak clip and then like, there he is like having moments. Like,
yep.
No playoff run is ever going to be perfect. You know, Tampa also they lost 5-0 to start their playoffs, right?
Yep.
Imagine that was the Leafs.
Oh.
Or whatever.
My God, Armageddon.
But I'm just saying, or not even just the Leafs. So like, that's an extreme example. But
Yeah,
like,
but we're all very testy in Leafs Nation, right? So a 5-0 loss to us is perhaps different than the 2-time Stanley Cup champions.
right. But like, Tampa didn't look like they had it half that series. I think that maybe that's where, if you want to have regret, is the Lightning looked a little gettable in that series until the end. Like they really got it together at the end, but they were. I was wondering about their will, you know, how tired they might be. You know, Vasilevsky wasn't as sharp as he's been in the past. He's played a lot. Like it looked like maybe that the meter was running on empty there.
I was gonna say
This isn't the kind of show you have to like quietly be like,
no, I know.
I
I was just
couldn't
gonna
lip read
say.
that.
I was gonna say. The one thing I do want to bring up before this is over, whether or not you wanted to ask it or not, is Spezza.
Well, so I was sort of going
Good.
to ask that then because rapid fire, I know you're late for a meeting. Rapid fire, 1-word answers, and your 2 options are staying or going.
Okay, go.
Jason Spezza.
Staying, not as a player.
Oh, I like that.
Interesting. Ilya Mikheyev.
Going.
Jack Campbell.
Going.
Peter Mrazek.
Going.
Who else was on that? Mark Giordano.
Staying.
Oh,
Labushkin.
Ilya Labushkin, yeah.
Honestly, don't have a feeling. Like I would literally be. I mean, I'm educated guessing the other ones. This one, I just don't know.
Jake Muzzin. It's interesting it's even that much of a consideration.
Well, because this is one that requires more than 1 word.
Mm.
Go for it.
They love him. Like they think he's so important in the dressing room. I think he played well in that playoff.
He did.
Yep.
He did.
Yep.
But he's been through a lot and he makes a lot. And I think that might be the hard decision they have to make one way or another.
Oof.
Like, I think that might be part of what they really have to weigh. So I don't think it's written in stone either way. I would certainly not say he's 100% he's staying, but they love the guy. I'm telling you, from like management, coaching staff, his teammates, like that would be, if they traded him or if they moved him out in some way, shape, or form, that would be a removal from their core in their view. Like we all define the core as the core 4, but like they define him as part of their core. I mean, he's been there, 3-4 years, signed for a couple more. He's like the conscience in the room.
Mm.
Oh, man.
That guy's got
Tough to lose
soul.
that.
Wayne Simmons.
Staying, but might not be playing.
Kerfoot.
Going.
Hall.
Going.
Mrazek.
Engvall.
I think I did Mrazek.
Yeah, you did Mrazek.
Have I traded half the team now?
Yeah, you have.
Engvall.
Staying.
Okay, good.
And Blackwell.
I don't know.
That's a lot of change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still significant, right?
Potentially.
Right.
Okay.
And that's, look, that's not all written It's just
Right.
educating.
Well,
us.
you know what? We're going to hold you to that. And when you're
fine.
wrong,
Well, I know what's
and
gonna
we hold you
happen.
back.
TSN's Chris Johnston. I know. When you're wrong, you're TSN's Chris Johnston. When you're right, you're SDPN.
Don't forget North Star.
North
bets.
Star.
I don't. No. That's flip a coin. You got to hedge your bets.
Oh man,
You see? That's how it works.
See what he did there.
I just know what my Twitter feed's gonna look like now. But those are just feelings.
Feelings.
I also want to give people what I'm thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Of course.
Yeah.
there's a line there, right? Because part of what we do, like, if I'm on insider trading, I'm not guessing. Like, that's whatever I say there is very.
That'd be funny though. James, I don't know.
But sometimes when we're on a show like this, like it's just sort of giving my sense of things.
That's why we have you. We like your sense of things.
right.
So
I remember I said
and your
Kadri was
smile.
going to be traded, and he got cat.
He
Yeah,
did
you got
get
that one
traded.
right.
He did go trade. Yeah. So
Let's bring up one I got right, because I'm sure if we went back and listened to that show, there's probably a few wrongs mixed in there.
Oh, you also got Babcock getting 20 games and then getting fired.
and you did.
So-
You nailed that one. That was one you absolutely nailed right on the bullseye.
They should have fired him then.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what Steve said.
Now, keep in mind though that ended up becoming the first COVID season. Like, who knows?
Yeah.
No, I know.
Do you know
I
what
know.
no one wants to say?
What?
The Leafs got screwed by COVID. Like, I know the world got screwed
Yeah.
by COVID in a lot
But
of
the
ways.
Leafs were expecting the salary cap to go up, right?
They were
There was part of that.
Totally. Totally.
Two things. They were expecting the salary cap to go up. That's significant every year because it had gone up every year. So that wasn't like
Like,
that wasn't
by a
a
lot.
Crazy thought.
Yeah.
that wasn't like me walking into a casino going like, this time I'm gonna win. Like it was actually a far more sane line of thinking than that. It wasn't just hopeful. Like, there was reason to think that. And the other thing is the 2020 and 21 seasons, like, full credit to the Lightning, but like, those are messed up years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I
Yeah.
don't know how we can judge any team in that. Like, we don't want to get too deep in our feels here, but like, it was a hard time to be alive. Like teams, athletes, everyone was just dealing with things they never have. The empty building games, like they
didn't really
sucked.
want to play
terrible.
Columbus. It didn't seem like they wanted to be there in the bubble.
I don't think mentally they got there, honestly. It's not an excuse. I think that's a reality. Like, I don't think that they.
Some teams didn't check into that bubble.
Washington.
Washington
Yeah.
was the next team I was going to mention.
Right. And I'm not sure as much as like, yeah, you want to be like, yeah, give your best every day and you're a pro athlete. Like, man,
Yeah.
it was a hard time to be alive. And then like last year was so weird. All the games in Canada, no fans. Like, the Leafs did the best they could. But I'm just saying they were set up for those years to be whatever. And then they ended up being just crazy effed up years. And then now the cap's still not going up, and it should be up by now. Like, they should have more money to spend.
What would the cap be, do you think?
Ooh.
Gotta be
90?
90, right?
Okay, so because time is a flat circle.
Right.
So what year? 2019-20 was the COVID year, right? And it was
Yes.
81 and a half.
And now it's 80.
And I think that they forecasted it before the pandemic hit at the GM's meeting in March 2020 to be going to like 84
Ooh.
for the next season. So the next season would have been last season. So if it went up by another 3 million, it would be 87. And then if we were talking about what the Leafs or every other team had to spend this summer, it might be almost 90, or it could be 90. I mean, Seattle joining the league.
Yeah. And and like, we're talking like, maybe you just keep Hyman and also
Yes.
add.
Damn.
And, oh, man.
And
That's
so,
tough.
and look, they're not the only team this has impacted every team,
Of course.
in theory, equally. But I think it impacted them worse because they had those guys locked up for those years at a fixed cost. Yes, a high cost, but that cost was supposed to get more and more manageable with each passing year because you had more money being added to the books, and they didn't get that. And look, no one around the league is going to take out a tissue and feel sad for the Maple Leafs. But it is an undeniable fact that the timing of COVID with the timing of the core players they had locked up and the contractual decisions they had made could not have been worse. And I've never, like, from them, they've never, like, no one there is whispering that in my ear. Like, I think that they're of the mindset, like, you just adapt to the circumstances and that's all you can do. But stepping back from 10,000 feet, I actually had someone who works for another team text me that after game 7. And he was just saying, he's like, you guys are all going to kill them. But remember, like, literally, it could not have impacted them worse in a sense.
Yeah.
Because had they had to sign one of those guys today, in the context of a COVID world and a context of a flat cap, I think you can negotiate the deals differently too.
Yeah.
And so, anyway, that's how the ball goes. It's hockey.
And I can tell you as a general manager in NHL 22 that the cap does not hit 90 by 2023. So it was very difficult for me to make a bunch of signings.
Very important.
Yeah.
Are you still trying to win the cup?
We were on hiatus because Austin Matthews retired, and everybody got kind of sad. So we're gonna blow up the roster and then try and do a rebuild.
Can you start again fresh, or are you too deep down?
No. We're gonna start again fresh with a new concept.
Maybe keep Tavares this time so we can renew the Conn Smythe. He traded Tavares, and then next year he won the Conn Smythe and won the cup with Detroit.
It wasn't great.
Julian McKenzie, staying or going?
Staying.
Yeah. You guys have done an amazing job with the CJ show this year. Obviously, this is not the last time we're going to have you on before the season ends, but we love you. We love Julian, and thank you for everything you've done for SDPN in the first season, you guys together, because it's been spectacular. And producer Nick.
I'm getting the feels being back down here in the basement.
It's nice.
I still remember the night I was here in September and we announced the show. We unveiled it. I was sitting in this seat. You gave me a jersey. I should have worn it today, but it's summer outside.
It's okay. It's too hot.
Yeah.
And do you know what? Julian and I, we are taping our 70th episode on Thursday.
Wow. Holy shit.
Which means our last episode was a very nice one.
Yeah.
Sex number.
It was nice.
CJ, get in there. Get in there.
I had sex once.
Sex.
Yeah, and producer Nick's kicking ass too.
Okay. All right. Follow him on Twitter at Reporter Chris for North Star Gaming, of course, TSN and SDPN. Chris Johnston, one of our favorite people in the entire world. Thank you so much for coming in, man.
I am pleased to be here. And hopefully next year we have a different tone of this, you know? I'm not cheering for teams. I'm cheering for you guys.
Oh, that's so nice.
I want you guys to be happy.
This guy.
We're gonna have this show in June one day.
Yeah.
It'll be June, and we'll be talking to you
Guys, we almost did. It's May 18th.
I was going to say, yeah, because there's a pandemic and round one started June 1st.
So, CJ, they lost in the Stanley Cup final. Where do they go from here?
The 28th wave comes to takes us. No. Sorry, I shouldn't make pandemic jokes.
No, I think
But
at this point you can.
It's sort of like being like punch drunk, you know?
Yeah,
It's just like, oh my God,
Yeah.
what's going on?
If
I
you
mean,
can't-
you're living in it too.
Yeah.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, thank you again, buddy. It's been amazing.
Yep. Thanks to everyone.
If you're looking for quality and performance, you got to check out Rowback Activewear. It's some of the best stuff that we own too. Performance polos, Q-zips, hoodies, like a whole new meaning to the word comfortable. So comfortable, so beautiful, but also a total game changer when it comes to like soft, stretchy material. Hockey players love it. Hockey commentators who don't play a lot of hockey like us, we love it too.
I was about to say, I like stretchy.
Yeah,
It's fun.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, hockey players, I think they stretch in a different spot than we stretch. I think they stretch more up here, and we might be more
I
down
need
here.
more research on
But that's there's also performance Q-zips, incredibly comfortable, perfect for a day on the ice or a day on the links.
Or a day in your podcast chair.
Yeah,
I wore a Rowback shirt on Sunday when I was at a golf dome.
There he is.
Practicing my swing.
Oh, typical Laughs fan golfer, eh?
So do yourself a favor and use the code DANGLE at rowback.com for a generous 20% off your first order. That's RHOBACK.com. That's 20% off first order, all polos, Q-zips, hoodies, and tees with the code DANGLE. It's just in time for the second round of the playoffs. Go check out rowback.com. Hey, listen, when you're hiring for your company, you need to cast the widest net possible, but then you got to narrow it down quickly. You want to bring a whole bunch of people in, and then you want to find out who is qualified. Workable is what you have to check out. There are 46% more jobs being posted than before the pandemic right now, and 44% fewer candidates. So we need to get you the right candidates, and we need to get you fast, and Workable does that. Workable will automate repetitive tasks like scheduling interviews, so you don't have to worry about that. You can focus on what's important, and they do things like video interviews and e-signatures for you. Done. So listen, start hiring today with a risk-free 15-day trial. If you hire during the trial, which many do, won't cost a thing. Just go to workable.com to start hiring. That's Workable, which is hiring made easy. Guys,
Yes.
have you solved the biggest question plaguing your lives right now?
What? I don't know.
How much butt fun you're having?
Oh, we're not doing butt fun.
Why not? Why can't we do butt
People
fun?
were very
I've
upset
had-
about butt fun.
I've had too much butt fun.
I'm not surprised. You seem like a butt fun kind of guy. And if you try SeatGeek, you too can have some butt fun. Put your butt in the right seat to have a good time. Download the SeatGeek app. That is. Listen, there could be anything. Your second round of the playoffs. I don't know what that's like. But if you do, SeatGeek's the app for you.
I'm just saying, it's not butt geek.
No, it's SeatGeek, where your butt sits. And
In a seat.
you get $20 off your first purchase.
Ooh.
with the promo code STP at SeatGeek.com or on the SeatGeek app. That again is STP, $20 off SeatGeek, or download the app, go to SeatGeek.com, do it. So CJ's left the building, and do you feel like you had most of the questions that you had answered? Do you feel better? How do you feel? I need to know the actual feeling in your chest.
Excited. I'm excited.
I like that. Why?
This is going to be a fun off season to cover. And I think by the end of the interview, after saying, I don't think they're going to do much, he realized, oh, wait a second. Actually, they're going to do a whole hell of a lot. So will it be the explosive move? I like that. I don't think the name Kawhi was ever once brought up.
No, that's true.
And I just ruined it. But that's not what I think they're going to do. I don't think. The one question I had that I didn't get to ask was who is going to, if Tavares plays wing, who's going to center him next year? Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Evgeny Malkin.
By the way, I threw that out there on Twitter yesterday. People got very upset. But if you want a guy with some stank, Gino's the guy. It's just a matter of can he play a full season?
Yes.
And also he seems to want a lot of money.
You know who you put in his place when he's injured? Tavares.
There you go. Jesse.
What?
What?
What's your question?
What?
What do you want?
He signed him for 2 minutes.
I'm curious about, because you're of the three of us, you're the quietest and you're sometimes the most difficult to read. I'm curious about what you're feeling right now.
The most interesting thing that I think nobody's making a big deal about, that CJ is clearly hammering that drum, is the Austin Matthews contract date. We're not focused enough on it because I said it in our little segment with CJ, but if this is the really all or nothing season, if it means you might lose Austin Matthews, that's your entire franchise going out the door. And next year he's eligible for an extension.
Yep.
And if we go into the 2023-24 season and Austin Matthews doesn't have a contract, forget talking about hockey. All we're talking about is Austin Matthews' contract for that entire season.
It's going to be awful.
And CJ might have just forecasted either the biggest doom in franchise history for a year, when we're talking about him potentially leaving. Like, that's going to be huge. And then if everything goes well and he signs that deal, like, then complete jubilation, because there's your greatest player in franchise history who's now going to be around for sure for like 10 years.
I like the dynasty Kings that he potentially forecasted that's going to have a 1 through 4 of Kopitar, Matthews, Deneau, and Byfield.
Oh, I hate it. Don't you hate it so much?
2/4 of the crab people's Toronto Maple Leafs.
There you go.
Well, I was going to say,
Matthews
wait
and
a second.
Byfield.
Wait a second. If they want him a year early, it's up there.
I think that's fascinating. And Matthews leaving it'll be the greatest disappointment in franchise history.
But the best part about it was Chris is the first one I've actually heard in the Toronto media who said, but he doesn't want to.
Yes.
Yeah.
And again,
he's been consistent with that.
Berkey knew what he was doing when he threw that out there. That take has lived with Leaf fans under our skin ever since. Berkey's really good at that.
It might have been right at the time.
I don't think it was right at the time, and I think he knew it wasn't. I think it was just, here's something that I can't back up, and I don't need to. I'm just going to throw it out there. Enjoy that anxiety.
We're coming for Malkin,
You're talking specifically about Arizona.
Specifically about Arizona. He could leave,
that franchise.
but he was never going to Arizona.
Right.
They're a mess. And so now I think you can enjoy the fact that he really wants to be a Leaf. And the Leafs, if they're intelligent, which they are, they're going to build the shit around him, and they have. Here's what you need for a superstar, right? You need to surround him with some pretty damn good players, which they have. Mm-hmm. You need to try to win every year, which they do. You need to spend to the cap, which they are. I don't know what else you can do other than, I think, eventually make him captain. And by the way, whenever I say that I think Matthews should be the captain, it's not because I think Tavares is a bad captain or that he should move on or that they should trade him or that he's not a good leader. I just feel like it's Austin's time. Mm-hmm. He's going to become, as Chris said, he's going to become the guy that rewrites all the record books if he signs another contract here. So to me, I think the leadership is on the ice. I think you see the team live and die by what he does. And to me, that's captain material. Whether that happens this year or not, I definitely think it happens within the next 18 months.
Captain material, Giordano coming back, according
Oh,
to him.
I love that.
As his bet, and Spezza coming back
In a coaching role, maybe.
in a not playing role.
I love that.
Fascinating.
As long as you can keep Spets in that dressing room, I think it's a good thing.
100%.
So what we're going to do, obviously there were games yesterday. We know, obviously, Florida, and we know who played. We're going to leave that for tomorrow because we're doing an episode tomorrow and then we're doing one next Tuesday.
Tell everybody why again.
Because Steve is going to tropical Winnipeg for a wedding full of mosquitoes. It's going to be great. I think...
joke's on you, Adam. It's going to be too cold for mosquitoes. It's going to be like 6 degrees
Is that really what it's
Celsius.
going to be?
That's what I saw on my phone.
No.
Cool.
Bring your winter jacket.
Cool. There's nothing like a long weekend wedding, huh?
Yes. It's
Great.
In Winnipeg.
In Winnipeg. Listen, I know the guy he's going to get married. Tom's a very nice guy, but Tom, what the hell? Anyway.
He covers the Jets.
I know.
That shows the faith he had.
100%. So listen, we're going to do a bigger episode tomorrow regarding all the kind of playoff series. So if you're looking for that, it's coming. But we figured CJ himself was self-contained. And don't forget to sign up on the Discord. Some people are having no luck signing up at sdpn.ca. I have gotten a couple of messages about that. So we'll have a look at that. But sign up using our Discord channel. Jesse's going to check it out. And submit your questions because obviously, especially given what happened today with CJ, you're probably going to have some questions. And if you have them, please hit us up because obviously we want to try to answer them as best we can. I'm not surprised by this process thing. I'm not surprised by it at all.
I want to know what gets CJ radioed the hardest. You know?
Well, I think at the end when you said who's here and who's gone.
Yeah, I think that because there's going to be 4 or 5 people clamoring to tweet quotes from the show. There always is when CJ's on. I think you're right. I think it's the end. I think the Muzzin stuff is going to cause a stir because
It
I'm
seems like the
surprised
most
it's
likely
even a
thing.
consideration.
Are you?
Based on the way he was talking about it, I don't think it's going to happen. But
No.
it's crazy that
It could.
it's greater than 0.
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll be back tomorrow. Be ready for that. It can be a full playoff episode, and we will finally have an answer on what happens in the Battle of Alberta, because really, I have no idea how the series is going to go. And I think if anybody says they do, they're wrong.
Yeah.
Absolutely wrong. Enjoy your day. We will be back for a Thursday episode of the SDP. Anything else to add?
The link to sign up on Discord on the site is fine now.
It does.
It's fine now.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
Jesse sounds so disappointed in himself.
The Steve Dangle Podcast.
Powered by Sports Interaction, Canada's sportsbook.
Follow the guys on Twitter at Steve_Dangle, at Adam WYLDE, and at Jesse Blake. Connection complete.